Heroes Like Us is a series intended at sharing comic book characters from various backgrounds and identities. We won't always get everything right, so feel free to make amendments and corrections in the comments. They're always appreciated. What's not appreciated, however, is any form of hate speech or intolerance, so comments of that nature will be immediately deleted and those users blocked from this channel. This is a place of education and celebration. Welcome to I'm Your Target Demographic, and welcome to Heroes Like Us, our series where we look at identity and then we look at superhero characters that have that identity. So today we're going back to Africa for a third time. So we've got a handful of characters, some Marvel, some DC, some independent. If you've never seen this video before, this channel before, check out our part 1 of African Heroes. Start there. So go part 1, part 2, part 3. But you can always just stick here. There's no reason to watch them in chronological order. Yeah, and let's dive into some African heroes. We're going to start with another push to an independent creator that's doing something really cool out of South Africa. So we're going to talk about Kwezi. Kwezi was created by Loyiso Mkhize Art. He is a South African teenager that discovers he has these abilities, and at first, like any other teenager, he probably uses them for selfish things, to make himself look good, to make himself better off. But slowly he learns to become a hero, so he's a little indestructible, he can fly, he can do a lot of things. Why this is special is because South Africa is not often touched on in comic books, and so this is an interesting place, and he feels very much like a character from that real place. If you're looking at these screen captures and you're thinking, Kwezi looks really cool, I want to check it out, I'm interested in South Africa, I'm interested in the city of Johannesburg where it mostly takes place, I want to check that out and want to support indie creators, check out the description below and you'll see various links to where you can buy this, how you can support the artist, and all of that. So make sure you go there and support them for their good work. We have a second indie creator that we want to shout out today from Vortex Comics Strike Guard. His name is Abalaji Coker. The story of Strike Guard begins when a college student is murdered, and to kind of hide the body, they bury him, but he's buried in the same place as this ancient deity. And this deity basically inhabits the body and says like, okay, like I'm gonna let you do these crazy things and have these crazy powers, but in exchange we're gonna do some good in this world. And so this is the story of kind of this duality and what do you do with power like that. He has a lot of things he can do that are very traditionally superheroes, so like lightning, super strength, flying, but every once in a while he also can tap into more spiritual abilities that something like an ancient deity would be able to do. Now, in addition to the comic version of Strike Guard, you can also see we have an animated version that they created and put up on YouTube. You can find out the whole thing and how to support that comic, look up their Facebook pages, all that stuff down in the description. So again, both of those indie creators, go check them out, like their pages, check out their stuff, encourage them for what they're doing. Now let's get into a little bit more mainstream characters. We're going to start with Shuri from Marvel Comics, the younger sister to T'Challa, the Black Panther. Now Shuri is often kind of the princess, but becomes the queen and becomes the Black Panther when her brother isn't able to. So she does spend portions donning that mantle of Black Panther and protecting her people. Probably one of her biggest roles in comic book arcs was being in charge of Wakanda when it was attacked and basically taken over by Namor the Submariner. And so she led this fight against him and really showed some massive strength. Now, this gets a little weird because Namor basically put her into this state to subdue her and basically kind of kept her in the stasis. But while she was there, she was able to access this dreamscape that is basically this collective memory for everyone from Wakanda. And while she was there, she learned how to do all of these interesting things. So she can now, in the real world, transform into a flock of birds or into one large bird. She can also turn her skin into stone when she needs to fight someone. So she has these interesting powers that she learned from like the collective memory of all of these people. Shuri does appear in the Black Panther film, played by Letitia Wright. We have two other characters from Wakanda that we want to talk about, and that is two members of the Dora Milaje, Ayo and Anika. They were focused on in an arc called The World of Wakanda. And in this, we explore what the Dora Milaje are, and we go into kind of what that culture is like. And these two women fell in love and basically kind of rebelled against the Dora Milaje. let's talk about how that happens. So they fell in love. Anika was going to be killed. She did something horrible. She was going to be executed. But Ayo decided, I can't do that. So she took this experimental armor called the Midnight Angel armor, and she rescued her lover, and now the two of them don this armor, and they kind of protect the people, and they kind of form this people's resistance almost. And people join their ranks, and they become almost another sect of the Dora Milaje, but like an unsanctioned sect. Eventually, they do find common ground with the queen, Shuri, and they kind of are brought back into the fold when they realize there's enemies outside of them that they need to team up to face. So as I know now, they are together. Our last character for this video comes to us from Marvel Comics as well, Shola Nkosi. Now, Shola is born into a country called Genosha, which is an island off the coast of Africa, but it's a fictional place just like Wakanda. Now, Shola is a mutant, and his ability is telepathic mostly, that he can connect with multiple minds at once and kind of communicate, and he's a very strong telepath. So he came to the US and he was raised there from when he was a kid, and he was connected to people back in Genosha when a terrible, horrible thing happened, and basically the entire country was killed. And there was this huge execution, and he was connected to them at the time. So now whenever he basically uses his powers or is just living, breathing, he is constantly reminded of this and reliving that torment and hearing those screams. And for a long time, he could not sleep, that he was just like constantly a zombie, because whenever he started to let his guard down, he would relive the execution of thousands of people. So that's horrible. But he did lose his powers in an event called M-Day or Decimation, when Scarlet Witch said, no more mutants, and he lost his abilities. And for most people this was tragic, but for him it allowed him to sleep and rest for the first time in many, many years. So that is it for this video. This was our third one going back to Africa. If you think of more characters that we haven't touched on in any of those three, let me know in the comments. These videos come to life because of your suggestions. There are some of you that are really good about like, hey, I know these obscure characters or these big characters that are actually tied to this country, this identity, tell me. Because as soon as in the comments I get those names, I keep an Excel sheet, I jot them all down, and when I get 4 or 5, it means I can make a new video. So let me know if I'm missing any prominent African characters, and I'll do my best to do a part 4 if it comes to that someday. So thank you for watching, thank you for supporting what we do. Check out the other Black superheroes, so African and African American heroes here, or our Heroes Like Us entire playlist, which is like 50-something videos now. Check it out right there. Thanks for watching.